There it is. Well, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 6:32, and the first thing we're going to do is have a roll call.
Present.
Jamie Jones.
Present.
Mary Stowe.
Present.
Roger Vanderpool.
Present.
Susan Tabrizi.
Present.
Jack Young.
Present. So anyway, welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Lansing Zoning Board of Appeals. We typically don't have a crowd anywhere near this size for our standard diet of side lot setbacks and sign law appeals. So if you don't mind, I'm going to give everybody a quick outline of what this board does and how we're going to handle these upcoming appeals. New York State's Zoning Board of Appeals exists as a safety valve for zoning laws. They provide a way for property owners to appeal decisions by code enforcement officers by asking for interpretations such as the ones before us, or to seek exemptions or variances when zoning rules don't fit the unique situations and trade-offs that are so common in any community. Our usual goal when a variance is requested is to be helpful while ensuring fairness, balancing property rights with community welfare. But the standards for interpretive appeals are different. There aren't any balancing tests to worry about in these two situations. We're just trying to come up with an interpretation of what the zoning code meant when it was last voted in 2003. At least 95% of the requests that come before us are for variances, usually area variances. After almost 20 years on a ZBA, I've only seen a small handful of interpretive appeals like these, which is one reason we're proceeding so carefully in this matter. With an appeal asking for an interpretation of the zoning code, the ZBA is not bound by the code enforcement officer's determination. We make our own decision about what we think the code sections in the question mean. We're a quasi-judicial board in this regard. We hear evidence from both sides, plus any public comments that are relevant to the legal issue at hand. Then we discuss and make a decision as a group. But we don't try to come up with a uniform decision as we often do in area variances. In an area variance, we can do a little horse trading. We can say, well, 8-foot fence is a little tall. How about 7? We can, we try to come up with something we all like. In this case, every one of us will make up our own decision. We're not going to try to influence each other. We're each going to listen to the evidence. We're going to know what we know about these issues on our own, and we're going to make our own calls. Tonight's meeting is going to be pretty short. We won't be starting either public hearing that's scheduled for the 16th. We're just going to be confirming that the appeals are complete. The hearing date is going to be the 16th at 6:30. And we're going to be reviewing and determining the status of this appeals under the State's Environmental Quality Review Act, in which in this case it's just a formality since our decision here doesn't actually have any independent economic impacts or environmental impacts. Regardless of our votes on these two appeals, the applicants would have ways forward to get their proposal before the planning board next. So they're the ones who would ultimately be handling any environmental reviews. I do want to make a few requests to anybody in the audience who expects to be in attendance for the public hearings next Tuesday. First, please be respectful of the process and the board. Everybody here is a volunteer. None of them had any idea we would have a case like this to decide when we signed up. This isn't a political board. I don't want this dispute to damage the reputation of the ZBA for being open and impartial. People need to be able to trust the ZBA to come here for the garden variety area variances that we most commonly see. That's one reason I've done everything I can to treat these appeals like any others and not let them get bogged down in town politics or the holiday season delays, whatever. When we do open the floor for public comments during the hearings next Tuesday, the only comments that will be allowed are those directly related to the legal questions before us. These decisions set precedent and would impact any other property owners in those industrial districts who want to operate and have a proposal that would be impacted by these interpretations. So we wouldn't have comments about environmental or economic impacts of data centers in general. Nothing about TerraWolf itself would be acceptable, or their track record or successes, failures. Our sole focus in these hearings is on looking back in time to 2003 and trying to determine what these terms in our zoning law that have been highlighted by each appeal should be interpreted to allow. And those interpretations will basically make up our decision about whether a data center or whatever you'd like to call it that TerraWolf is proposing would fall as an accepted use, or if what they're doing would not be an accepted use and would need to go into some sort of a planned development area. Either way, they can go to the planning board with it, but the question is whether they're going in as an accepted, allowable use under our current zoning per 2003, or whether it's going to have to go in as a special category. In conclusion, I would just want to remind everybody that the ZBA's role in this issue is very limited, and nothing we will or can do in next week's appeals is going to be determinative. Our decisions can always be appealed to a higher court. Nothing will ever get built without the approval of a number of other governmental bodies, not the least of which is the town's own planning board. And they can ask for modifications, attach conditions to any approval that they might grant. These are conditions which the applicants would have to accept if they wanted to proceed. So I hope you'd all understand our role here is very limited. We have two very simple questions we have to look at next Tuesday, and please trust the appeals process that's mandated in situations like this. Now, after next week, you can all go back to ignoring the ZBA's work, and we'll go back to our normal job of helping people find compromises when they need a variance for a new deck, they want to put a shed in the back corner of their lot, or they want a slightly larger commercial sign. But we're happy you could all be here tonight, and we hope you'll enjoy the experience. The first thing we're going to do here is go to our action items. And each of the action items is one of the two appeals that have been made to us about the Cayuga Data Campus. The first one here, and I'm not sure how we differentiate these particularly, but this is the one which talks about asking us to determine whether the use that is being proposed by the Cayuga Data Campus would fall under the term scientific research laboratory, which is a permitted use in the IR district in the town of Lansing. We have three things we want to confirm. The first one is that the application is for this appeal is complete, and our attorney Megan has told us that it is, and our attorney Guy Crow has reiterated the same thing. We have the hearing scheduled for the 16th at 6:30, correct, Kelly? And we've gotten all the notices out as required. And Megan, we are classifying this for seeker review as?
Yes, it is a type 2 action. It is specifically identified within the seeker regulations. That is, bear with me for just a second. It's 6 New York Code of Rules and Regulations, section 617.5 C37, and that specifically exempts these types of reviews, the interpretations from additional environmental review.
Yes, so which means someone else will eventually, if the project goes forward, it will get reviewed by a lot of people, but our actions aren't something that triggers that.
That's exactly right.
Okay. The thing we need to do now is if I ask everybody on the board if anyone has any questions or if we would like to have a roll call to accept the fact that we appear to have a valid application, we have a properly scheduled public hearing, and we've got seeker as basically a type 2 action, which we don't have to worry about. Kelly, do you want to make a roll call?
Rick Hayes.
Aye.
Jamie Jones. Mary Stowe.
Aye.
Roger Vanderpool.
Aye.
Susan Tabrizi.
Aye.
Jack Young.
Aye. Now we move on to the second action item, which is a similar appeal for the Cayuga Data Campus. In this case, they're looking for a determination that this use would be properly classified as, oh, there it is on the back side, either a general processing or a warehouse storage of non-agricultural goods use, each of which is a permitted principal use within the IR district under the Town of Lansing's zoning code. We have the same three questions. Application complete?
Yes.
Kelly, scheduling all done and within the guidelines required?
Correct.
And type 2 action again, because
Again, it would be a type 2.
almost identical. Kelly, roll call? Sorry to rush you.
All right. Rick Hayes.
Aye.
Jamie Jones. Mary Stowe.
Aye.
Roger Vanderpool.
Aye.
Susan Tabrizi.
Aye.
And Jack Young.
Aye. That's basically where we end. Again, we don't have any public comment at a meeting like this. We will be able to allow evidence to be presented by the public at the hearings as long as it's related to the actual interpretation of that 2003 zoning code. If anyone wants to send in things in the meantime, or if you have comments you want to submit in advance before the hearings on the 16th, that's great, but we won't be accepting anything after the public hearings on the 16th close. So if you do want to put something together that's relevant for those hearings, please do, and you can send things to Kelly if you want, if it needs to be on paper, whatever. I mean, we're happy to look at anything that we can get, as long as it all gets done before the public hearings close, so that we can wrap things up. Do we have anything else on the agenda, or do you have any corrections to make to all the things I've said?
If I could grab your ear for just a minute, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay, perfect. All right, I've been corrected, and what we're trying to do on the written public comments is have people bring them to the hearings on the 16th. Just for simplicity, we're understaffed in the planning department these days. We have a lot of FOIL requests and other things we're dealing with. The town is, and the holidays are coming, and it would be a lot easier if you do have something you want to submit, if you could bring it to whichever hearing it's relevant to on the 16th and give it to Kelly then, so that we don't have a whole bunch of things drifting in the meantime. That way we get it all at once. So, anything else, Kelly or Guy? All right. Well, we're going to continue talking briefly, because I need to ask Kelly what's going to be coming up in January as far as our garden variety area variances and so forth. But as far as the official hearing here, I'd like to adjourn the meeting, and we'll take a vote on that. Kelly?
Rick Hayes. Jamie Jones. Mary Stowe.
Yes.
Roger Vanderpool.
Yes.
Susan Teresi.
Aye.
Jack Young.
Aye. Usually there's nobody here by the end of our meeting, so we don't worry. Thanks very much.